Dad, are you ready?
I am very, very ready. Before I start, I would like to greet you, ladies and gentlemen. I feel privileged to have spent a lot of time with you people, trying to reflect on our past life. We hope it is not in vain, but will be handed over to the generations coming, whom we hope and think that they will treasure it, but will not find it a bother or a waste of time. We can now start on reflection. I'm ready. Oh, great. Not one, actually. No. Because my early beginnings was very empty and had no focus. So whatever achievement, accomplishments I have entertained actually is really treasured because it was not anticipated. One, living to this life is, though God's gift, is one thing I really treasure. Having been enabled to go to school despite hardships was a big accomplishment. Despite the breaks that were there and the length of time it took me in my schooling period to achieve the little I did in education. It is a great achievement and also by God's grace. Getting a job was a great achievement. And above all, having been enabled by the grace of God to have a wife, and a wife that became so dear to me and completely compatible all along, and be getting children together. In other words, getting a family as a father, mother, and children is the greatest achievement. Not forgetting the relationship I have kept with my siblings, my family, and great friends that I formed early. Those are great achievements and greatly treasured to date. I cannot enumerate them all because there are many, because every day I seemed to have learned a new lesson. Yeah, but the major ones, maybe I can mention a few. One lesson is to be tolerant, to be patient, to be prayerful, and to be focused, to be perseverant. Those are lessons I learned, not mentioning the later lessons that money is not the key to everything, but enables you to open some of the locks that are unopenable. And at times, some of the locks that open may add you to the gallows. Is that money is expendable, doesn't last forever. Money is only valuable when you are earning it, and is only usable when you spend it well, especially when you keep in mind all along that there may come a time when you have no way of earning more, or even keeping what you have. It also teaches you that it is not all. You should have a great heart and a humane character. Be perseverant and don't always look forward to envy those who have bettered you. Always take time to turn back and see those that you have left behind, and reckon that it is not their choice. They are running, but not all runners come to the end string together, despite the exhaustive effort they put in their race. I would vividly say that that's what has made me who I am. I would hate to go back to where I started, but as to the time I lost my father when I was 8, I didn't have a trouser on. I was putting on a sheet. And up to the time I was 13, when I went to school, I didn't have a shirt. I started with just a trouser from my brother and a sheet. I joined children who are 6 years less than half my age. I had patience and hope, and it paid dividend. I live to remember and can vividly take this as a lesson to you people and to those that will come after you, to be patient and never to lose hope. Put your eyes on the ball at all times, irrespective of challenges, hardships, and frustrations. Keep with your God, and you hang and get to your destination. Keep yourself afloat. Never allow yourself to sink. That is and information I would like to pass to you people and to those who may come after you as my experience and the thing that made me get where I did, though I didn't go very far. I cannot forget to come back to what I have always said. It was because of the teachings I received from my great mother, and who played the role of mother and father. After I lost my father at the early age and we became complete destitute, she encouraged us to keep on, and we kept on. We have never regretted. We learned all these lessons, not only me, but myself and my other siblings. We got a lot of encouragement from our mother, especially after the treatment that we received from the Rift one, when we were not accepted and we were not shown any sympathy, and we continued on. It taught us very big lesson. At the same time, it showed us what we have come to realize thereafter, that that woman, our mother, had an extraordinary heart of forgiveness and had great soak absorbers to take in all their woes and still stick to the family of her husband, irrespective of rejection and mistreatment she received while in misery. My biggest fear had always been death. I prayed and wished that I don't die in the old days before I go to school, before I put on clothes like other children, before I get to the family life, and after that, before I can put my family to stand on their own. I cannot say all has been accomplished, but by God's grace, most of them I've seen through. Not because I've worked hard, not because I have been better than anybody, but all by God's grace. And I owe this to God, who reminds me not to look down on anybody who may be in the situation I was in, or even in a worse one. I'm reminded to accord them the respect due to them as human beings, bearing in mind as a Christian that God made man in his own image and likeness. It doesn't matter the physical status of the person, a disabled, a disadvantage physically or soul-wise are like God, made in image and likeness of God. That gives me a lot of satisfaction because I'm God-like, and I'm about to see everybody else, especially those behind me and below me, as God-like, and regard them as such. Honestly, I'm not the only one who fears death. Everyone that is alive, even if you hear people saying, I don't mind dying, only the afraid and the desperate people approach death. Those who have hope and have courage face life and wait for death when it comes, without inviting it, without confronting it. So, I do not fear death, but I cannot approach it. It will come at the timely period according to God's plan. Not really. There were days when sometimes I would ask whether it was right for me to have been there. But I did not contemplate terminating my life. I was asking whether I was born by mistake. And I did not blame those who brought me forth. I was just trying to ask this within myself and got an immediate answer from God that it was God's design, whose end I didn't know. And I longed to see the end. And I was always hopeful and pursued this to see the end that God had for me. I would say the first death has pained me the most, that I realized about, and that was death of my father, who passed on when I was only 8 years, and when I had not known myself, and who met his death in a manner that was not deserving, and whom, though as a Christian I'm bound to forgive and forget, I may have tried to forgive and forget, and it has been difficult because he deprived us of a father who we had not known at all. As he was working for a Mzungu, and most of the time he spent in the house of a Mzungu as a cook, and had very little time in our home. And he met his death there. A death that was devastating to my immediate family, and that would have had a big and irreparable damage in our lives. But by God's grace, we got out of it. That is the biggest effect I have had from death. And the only death I say I would not like to continue remembering, because when I remember it, I feel hurt. I didn't see the corpse of my father. I didn't know the disposal of his remains, and none of the members of the family know or will ever show to our descendants, leave alone to our last-born sister, who was unborn by the time my father died. That is why it is very difficult to forgive whoever had their hearts on his death. As a Christian, I said, we have forgiven. If Jesus Christ, whom I really adore as the second person of the Holy Trinity, and the one who humbled himself to come to the world to save me, a creation of his, and he forgave those who tortured and crucified him on the cross, despite the fact that he was there paying for their sins, taught me to forgive those who wrong me. I forgive, but forgiving does not mean forgetting. I forgive them. I would like, if they were, I would like them to put themselves in my shoes and in the shoes of the person they killed, and they will feel that they did not do the right thing and repent. And I would pray that they get forgiven by God. My younger self, I would definitely embrace my younger self and say, why couldn't you see that you are not alone? Why did you feel threatened? Why were you shaken? Why did you feel desperate when you slept hungry? When you didn't have clothing? When you couldn't go to school? When you dropped school and you went back to work and you lost hope? When you went to school and joined one class with those who are less than half your age, and you felt as if you will never made it. Why didn't you really trust on your God, who is in control of everything? I will embrace my younger self and say, praise to God. You went through all the forests. You climbed all the hills. You swam across all the seas. And you are where we are. You are not because of your efforts, but because he who made you was with you and held your hand. So tell those that are desperate, that are looking upon you, to do the same. Never lose hope. Never forget that God is with you. And he is in control of all situations. Remember God above all things. Be humble and humane. Don't be haughty, irrespective of the status. Don't despair, though despite the status you are in. You are a child of God, and you are made like any other human in the image and likeness of your Maker. He is there for you. Do what is necessary. Do what is required of you. Don't go beyond what you can do. Be satisfied with what you have achieved out of your exhaustive, rightful effort. Do not compete with anybody. Do not envy anybody. You have your own name. Every other person has his or her own name. You are never the same. Vividly look at the fingers of your hand. None of them is like any other. None of them is of the size of the other. They are equally important and play a vital role in strengthening the grip of your hand. You are equally important. The cripple is equally important. The blind is equally important. All are made in the image and likeness of God. Don't disregard them. Don't discard them. Regard them as such. The question is rather difficult because I don't know better in which way. Because all are good and all have given me lessons to learn. One, post-colonial times was very harsh because the colonized and the subjects of the colonialists were like slaves, didn't have any rights. We didn't recognize anything like constitution or even natural rights. But they existed, and they started there to be where they ended. So everything had its own value and lessons to be learned. Post-colonial times have also taught me more lessons since I have been a little more grown up. I have worked in it, I have lived in it to date. And what I have learned is that it's not better or worse, but has a lot of things that need correction and things that need to be ironed out for the people to live in a free world and an equal world where everybody survives because God is a provider, and where people don't tread on others. It is possible in the free country if only they want to do it and practice it. And my only wish is that the sooner they start practicing it, the better. The Lord Jesus Christ, who's talked about the wind and the crop, he ordered that they be left to grow together, and the Lord of the vineyard will do with them what he chooses at the end. He may order for the wind to be gathered and burnt, and for the crop to be gathered and kept in the granary. I do not want to say more because I don't want to be a judge. Freemason followers, atheists, Christians, Hindus, and all the other functionaries are human beings made in image and likeness of God. As to how they will be treated, as to how God takes them, is not me to judge. Jesus Christ told those he was preaching to that they will be surprised when they get there to find that the seats that were secured and prepared for them have been sat on by people from the East. People from the East were considered to be those who are not members of this so-known children of God. So they were all made by God in his image and likeness, and not to perish, but to go back to him if they lived according to his direction. I have no authority to judge and even to comment more than that. I'm trying to recollect if I can have any regrets, because actually in my reckoning I have no regret. I can only see new lessons. Everything that came, whether it was sweet or bitter, was a new lesson. And it taught me how to go from then forward. And it taught me also how to prepare those after me or emulating me, how to handle such a situation. I have no regret. It is a lesson, and every lesson is welcome and is as good as any other. Hardly none. I don't see myself having wasted myself. I don't see myself having done deliberately what I was not supposed to do. I don't see myself wasting time. I don't see myself disappearing, as a result of which God has blessed me to be where I am. I have no regrets. I have no regrets. I had to go through that chain. A lander has steps so that you step on them all. If you skip one, you may slip and fall. That's my advice. To the contrary, this is the best way God had destined me to go through. If I can tell you for free, when my father existed, and just before he met his death, after he had taken my elder brother to Central Province to start education, he suggested that he takes me too, because I was 8. My mother didn't allow it. I would not also wouldn't have liked to part with my mom and the rest of the siblings. It was the best thing my father would have thought of. Despite the fact that he did that to prepare us for a brighter future, I to date feel for my brother who was separated from the rest of the family, though with good intentions, and lost his father when he was hundreds of miles away, and it took him close to a month or so before he knew of the death, and was only told as a story as to what happened. I believe it has lived in him as a stigma to date, and I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him. So, despite that, all members of my family, with or without a father, by the grace of God, have lived the way he had destined for them, with or without a father. We are being envied by those who are in the loyal homes to date. God's store has no junks. And we are living example of that. Praise and glory to God. As we started school, and as we grew up even before we went to school, we were speaking only Kikuyu, due to the reason that we are only exposed to Kikuyus. When we started school, and in Central Province, we were learning only Kikuyu and English. And as I said in another fashion before, I came to study Kiswahili in my second time of going to school, when I repeated from standard 6 to standard 4 to regain momentum for education. And that time I was 18 years. So I can say that's when we started using Swahili, not at home, but in school. And if we used it, whether after the employment or anywhere else, it was broken. So our major language at home to date is Kikuyu. We have come to learn English. We speak it when necessary, but not in the house. The same with Kiswahili. During our time of growing up, there was a lot of discipline from our parents and those who were bigger than us. We did not intermingle with the visitors and grown-ups unless called and invited to do so. We were to be out playing when they meet and do whatever they are doing. There was no Sheng, there was no colloquial English. We only knew Kikuyu, and we spoke it as it is, whether with our peers or with our parents or our grandparents. Yes.
What of in Rift Valley in both occasions?
I have rightly said the people we intermingled with, especially in the first Rift Valley, were all Kikuyus. So we spoke Kikuyu until we come to the second Rift Valley. When we came to Central Province, there were no strangers, only Kikuyus, other than during the time of emergency, when we have strangers and who were hostile, police people, army people who were sent to torment and to terrorize Kikuyus as Mau Mau. And we had nothing to do with the language or communication with them. When we get to the second Rift Valley, it's when we got employed and we went to a place where there were mixed people in employment, and it's when we had to pick up again education, and we were going to school that was of mixed tribes, and we had to learn Swahili, especially to pass the exams. And we picked it up seriously in that come the end of secondary school, we managed to get distinctions. Naming a child after somebody, according to the Kikuyu custom, was not a choice of an individual, of the parents, but was depending entirely on the gender of the child and the circumstances of the birth. What do I mean here? If the child is born in a home of two parents who have decided to stay together, the first child will be named after either the father or mother of their father, depending on gender. The second child, if of the same gender, will alternate and go to the side of their mother, also depending on the gender. I hope that answers your question. The other question is whether if a person has a bad name, the children will be given the same name. The answer is traditionally, many of the people who existed did not have one name, but had many names, nicknames, for various reasons. One, if a new lady comes to your home as a wife of your family member, your brother, or even your mom, and found you born, will not call you by your name, but you have to have a nickname that you suit you, because it was not expected that he would call you on a bare name that he found you called. Secondly, people were nicknamed after what they liked most or what they were associated with. So many people had nicknames. So in case the person was of a deplorable character, the child will be named after the nickname. But that does not mean that the name will be changed. Those who come after that will be bearing the same old name of the person who was avoided because of that individual. Excuse me. So I don't know whether I have exhausted your question. but I have given that you enable the change of the change of name. At the same time, if a child is being named after the person that is expected to be named after, and that child dies once or twice, the name will be changed to Karaoke, which means resurrected, or they can call it after the nickname of the person they wanted to name. And in most cases, whether through superstition or belief, they survived. Come again?
Traditional wares.
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 Oh, wares.
And ornaments, yeah.
Well, that will depend on when.
1900s.
I was not there, but as I came up, I happened to have been there when things were more or less changing. The older generation used to put on animal skins, which were made loose by worked on with a lot of oil and drying. Women were putting on that one which was being put on like the way they used to put on sheets across this way. Men used to have ones which were not made that soft, and they were only tying here at the neck and it would hang at the back. And then they will have something to tie around the waist. And women will also have something, especially the Kikuyu women will have also a piece of worked on skin which was made very soft and will be cut to be put on the back and another bit on the front.
Does that up here was?
No, it was covered because they did not leave it bare like men. Men are the ones who are having just a small bit here, and then the cover would hang at the back here. With the ladies, it went across that way, in which case it covered their breasts. Yes. One of them is that in olden days, a child did not belong to the father and mother. To go a little deeper, a lady getting married was not just a partner of the husband, but was paid for by the clan, and it belonged to the clan. And that is why, even if they disagreed with the husband and had born some children, would not leave the homestead, would be built a house, though the husband may not visit her, but you stay as a property and a member of that clan, and they will take care of her. She will live to inherit the property of the clan that will be due to her husband. She will be bound to have a share and still remain as a member of the society. And that is the wife. The children brought forward were as well members of the clan and society. As such, every member of the society and of the clan was duty bound to take care of their children, to discipline their children in case they were found misbehaving or going outside the acceptable behaviors and norms. And as such, there was a lot of respect for the young to the old. And people grew up with a lot of respect, and I would, if possible, like to have that emulated even at this age. In the olden days, education was handled as a foreign culture and a foreign trade. Not everybody accepted it. Many of the original people thought it was a way of recruiting people to go to the Europeans to be employed and to be taken elsewhere. And they had cause to believe that, because during the Second World and First World, many were taken as slaves and forced to go to the outside world to fight for the slave masters. That's one thing. Secondly, education, even when people started thinking and understanding that it is a way of acquiring new way of life beneficial to the wide world, it was only allowable to the men. It was concluded that educating ladies will give them a chance to go and intermingle with other tribes and other cultures outside, and by so doing, disrespect their culture. And therefore, in the olden days, those early olden days, only a few children were allowed to go to school. And if I may add, it was not a choice to the liked children. The children that were so much attached to the parents, the firstborns here and there, parents did not want to part with them to go for education, because they wanted them to tend their animals and to learn the art of inheriting their culture and tradition. So those who are seen to be a little loose and disobedient would be allowed to go for education. It proved later that those who were going for it were favored because they benefited more. And later, all were allowed to go, and eventually even the girls. And to date, a child is a child. They all go to school and have equal rights. In the early years, I thought I would be a priest. I found that to be a line to take, a peaceful line, and maybe of a service to the humanity in doing and preaching God's word. Later on, I thought I would have an opportunity and have a chance to pursue one of which were known as noble professions. The noble professions were lawyer, a doctor, an engineer. Those were called noble professions among others such big professions. I wished I could get to that, because by God's grace I felt I was bright enough to do that. Later, as I got to school, got to school, and maybe gotten near leaving school, I wanted to get to a line that would pay me well without wasting much time in training. So, because my greatest wish was to get a home, get married, and start a family, because there were those age mates who had already had homes, and I felt I was left behind. So all of this, I did not have any particular that I would say I was aiming at or was my dream. But all these were wishful thinking. I do not regret for not having followed any. The one God designed to me did me the best, and it would not have been any better. I'm happy with what I did and the line I took. Definitely, there is an answer to that, and every one of you here had that answer. But all I know is that you want to hear from me. Not because I know anything better, but I just to tell you what you know. You may have a cob of maize, and on it you find a rotten one. The cob grew up together, and the one started getting rotten. So there were those whom we saw as very bright and wasted themselves as they grew up. As they started working, they were carried away by influences of new associates, the peers, and the world. There are many whom we thought the futures were very bright and got wasted. I don't mean to say there were. They are still there. During my time, drugs were not that much. Although one drug that we call bangi, the opium, existed in some areas. And in later days, it had to spread to some places. It was there, but people did not get addicted to that. But drinking, which was not allowed traditionally to people before getting married, became accessible to anybody who had money. Why? Because they were in an area they are not known. When they used to live within their society, their clan, and their families, they would not have done that because it was allowed, and they would not access drinks at the age that is not allowed. But when they got out and started going to places where nobody knows who is who, their only thing is to have money and buy what they wanted to buy, associate with whom they wanted to associate with, whether it was approved by the society or the clan. And it was never even beneficial to them. Some of them got spoiled. Others realized before they got wasted, and they changed and improved, though they regretted the time they wasted. And it is the same even today. And I'm sure you have that answer. I want first to correct that word perfect. If I had a perfect day, every day that dawned for me and it ended was a perfect day. Because whatever happened, however it was, that was God's choice. Unless it was human made. And I can blame the human who made it what it wasn't. But I can say it was a lesson that was bound to learn. So every day that I went through was a perfect day. So that perfect day you are talking about, it will never be there, and it will not have been there. Every day I had was a perfect day. All that I went through was a lesson, and a lesson that was meant for me to learn, to help me moving forward, and to help others to go through it, whether hard or easy, bitter or sweet. I sympathize with my great grandchildren and grandchildren when they ask me how I spend my day, because I cannot explain. At the same time, I would like them to understand that today is not like tomorrow. We have today as a Thursday of September 2024. It will never be repeated. Every other day is a new day. Let's take it as it comes and ask God to help us to do what is best and what will not lead us to any regrets thereafter. Remember me, remember me.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I would like them to remember me for being a father of my mother and father, a person who was brought up in a hard way, and a person that God blessed to achieve the necessities of life despite hardship. I would like them to remember me for what I stood for: honesty, integrity, and truthfulness, hard work, persistence, tolerance, forgiveness, and humanity, recognition of those who are less fortunate, and your effort to try and lift them up and brighten the future and the day of every person you meet without vexing or annoying anybody, without revenging, without harboring any grudge. And that I would instruct or advise those who know me to try and emulate that, because those are the principles I treasured when I lived. That's a good question, and I will answer in a way that you encourage the upcoming people and those who are below me. I have learned not to lament. I have learned not to wish I did. I have learned not to crave to achieve what I didn't achieve. I have learned to be content with what God grants me and enables me to do every day. As for the old age, it is a gift from God. It's not a punishment. It is actually a gift from God. Many have gone early. Many have been suffering more than I am. Many have passed their own way. Nobody has passed my route. God has destined my way, and I don't wish anybody to do exactly what I did, but I will wish well everybody according to the destiny of his maker. Every day, to glorifying God who has made me wake up and ask him to let me see the end of it, and many others as he grants me, irrespective of what comes in the day. But ask him to have it easy for me, but above all, his choice and his will, not mine, be done. Yes, I have always emphasized on my yearning to start a family life. And even as I went to school, as I completed school, as I stopped going for courses, for college, to pursue further studies, is because I wanted to get into the family way, and I wanted to have a family. So I wanted to devote my life to the family, to make a family. And if God granted one, and he did, to do the best I could through my family, to give them the best I could, not to spoil them, necessity, to give them discipline, not to hurt them, but to do them the best I know that they could make good citizens and good to themselves and to the society. That was my yearning all the time. Despite the hardship during those early years, I sacrificed all to make sure that my children came up in an easier way than I did due to what my parents could not give to me, because they were not able.
Seeing that we are walking down memory lane, what would you say one of your favorite memories is growing up, or even now?
One of the greatest.
One of your favorite memories as Joseph.
I will not want to mention one or two, but I would say in every occasion where God allows us to meet as a family, especially, we eat together, we make merry, and we bless one another. And we all talk of our achievements or whatever we are doing. We tell stories, and we part in good, without anybody hurting the other or feeling assaulted. It has left me very, very much satisfied. Oh, there are many, and I loved songs. I was a dancer. I liked dances. If I had to sing for you, I would sing until tomorrow and the day after. So do not provoke me to start.
I just asked for one.
When you ask one, there those that we are singing as peers, irrespective of the culture, tribe. There are those that we sang as a cultural dances. There are those that we sang as a group. There are many, so I don't know. And there are those that are not actually sung by the old people, though they were sung by the young people.
Do you have just one favorite? One that's very, one that once you sing it, it kind of like takes you to that instance.
In
that
what
event.
language? Is it in
In
Kikuyu?
Kikuyu. In Kikuyu.
Okay. The one I love so much is one that reminds me that when I was in need, I prayed to God to give. And when He gave me, sometimes I did not remember to say thank you immediately until I got into trouble, and then I started crying. I asked for this, He gave me. And though I continue mentioning the things I asked for, and they were all granted to me. And now I'm lamenting because despite getting all those what I asked for, I did not remember to come back to God and say thank you. There's one, we sing it in Kikuyu and we say, Ndakaire Jehova ake he ũtonga ũyũ mũingĩ ma ũtonga wakwa mũingĩ wa mbũri na ng'ombe nyingĩ ma ngĩona ta ndaiganĩra ngĩriganĩrwo nĩ Ngai ũheanaga ngũkaĩra Jehova Ngai rĩrĩa ndĩ mũnyamaru Ngai wa na rĩrĩa ndĩ mũrwaru he Ngai wa na rĩrĩa ndĩ na mathĩna maingĩ norĩo ngũririkana Ngai mũnyũmbi na rĩrĩa njiganĩire na maũndũ ma thĩ ningĩkũririkana Ngai wakwa. That's one verse. It's a long story. It's a long song, and I love it.
What does that song say if you just shortly translate it?
I may cheat you if I tell you now. Can you get translation from your peers here who understand it?
Will do. I will do. I will ask.
Yeah, it's true. Thank you for the question. The second part of it is too personal. But the first one is general. Let me give you that answer. Love, as I understand it, there are many different types of love. The main ones are three. One is love of human to his maker, and that's the first one. The love you have for God and the love God has for you. That is inseparable, and that has to be followed. Many of us have gone astray and have fallen off that love, and so did our first parents, and it to put us into trouble. To date is the same, because our God is a loving God. Our God does not force himself into us, despite the fact that he has all the control and he is our maker. But he has given us free will to choose what to do, whether good or bad. The only thing he does is to make you realize that this is not right. This is right. But the choice is yours, as the love of God. The second love is love of a child to the parents. That is also a great love. but is human love. It's supposed to be strong, but as I said earlier, humans have got choice to choose right and wrong. Despite the fact that it is God's creation and gift to the two partners who bring forth a child, God has left them free to choose whether to love their children, whether to love their child, to hate, and how to treat it. But God's will is that once He has blessed you with a child, you continue with the love that He has for you, and you give the same love to those you bring forth. That is strong love and godly love. The other love is love for every other member of the society. You are supposed to have that love, though diluting that you are only to love them by doing good to them, assist them where they need, but you are not to carry them with you. And the love that I know you are waiting for is the love of your partner. The love of your life partner, that is life between the man and woman as they choose to stay together, is also God-given and has to be prayed for. It is not love at the first sight. There are more details that I would not like to get into as far as that is concerned. But it entails respect of the other party's freedom, respect of the other party's will, and strong discipline to oneself not to fall into sin, not to be tempted, and to give yourself a period of, in our terms, courtship, when you are trying to understand your partner, but not having any relationship, but standing one another, entertaining in no any other way, but not falling into sin, wishing one another well, and feeling that you will not like to wrong one another. And when it comes to a time when you feel that you have had enough that can enable you to put a right to what you are looking for, and you can suggest, and when you both respond positively, you decide to live together and give that unconditional love to one another. You don't love your partner so that you change your partner to do what you love, or what you like. You love your partner so that you accept the differences.
What would you like us to, what would you want us to do?
Where you love your partner.
Hmm?
You don't love your partner so that you can change him or her. That's what we can pick.
Yes, but you love your partner by accepting the differences,
So just take that
and by both of you.
Please take that statement again.
Oh, that statement.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I was giving an answer as to love pertaining to a partnership, a life partnership, that is husband and wife, as you make your decision. It's not an emotional love, but after what we call courtship, a period that is not defined is according to yourselves. And I started by saying not love at the first sight, as many talk about, but giving yourself time, different circumstances, different occasions, different moods. And then after a certain period, you decide that you have agreed to take the other party with all the differences, with all the pluses and minuses, not to change that other party to do what you like or to act like you, but you both accept to pull towards one another and do what you make you like and choose what that you benefit both of you without hurting the other, and that you keep you together. You do not want to change your partner to be like somebody you know. For example, you do not, if you are a man, look for a partner who is like your mom, who calls you kabibi, or who loves you this way. Like a man, you do not look like any woman who is like that mother to become your wife. Like a woman, you do not look for a man who emulates or who has the characteristics of your dad, who is very friendly to you and has behaved well towards your mother and has treated you well as a family. But you make your husband. And you, a man, you make your wife. A unique home you make, not a home like the one you knew or you have seen. You make your unique home and you try to make it emulatable, a way that others will love and will look at and would like to live that way. Putting between you God, minding much, much more about the other than you mind about yourself. That is the marital love that I'm talking about. It is not always available. It is confused with emotional love. It is confused with lust and many other things. But that is the actual love that is expected for people who are living as partners for life.